Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your weekly injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 334. We're recording at 10:30 a.m. on a Sunday for any of those who's interested. I know some of you are. And I'm joined as always by Rob. How you doing, Rob?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm not doing too badly. I don't know why. I slept well last night, but I'm still tired. I think I'm in need of a break. Looking forward to those holidays abroad that may no longer be an option. I mean, obviously with the baby as well, that could be difficult. But yeah, apart from that, not too bad.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. It is. Yeah, I feel like we're in a strange time still. You know, there was all this excitement. Well, I think all this optimism about the vaccine, and obviously that's been punctured slightly by the fact that we're having I haven't really followed it too closely, but as I understand it, shortages mean or something there's going to be a delay for about a month. And then obviously Europe is suffering massively at the moment. Yeah,
there's massive surges in cases of the. I mean, I do find it ironic that these surges are apparently caused by the Kent variant. So, something a good British variant, if you ask me.
Well, it's not just that; it's like straight out of Nigel Farage territory. That is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway,
I do, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. So it's all this optimism is kind of, I don't know, it feels like it's been wound back to some degree. But we'll wait and see what happens. But hopefully we can still have some degree of easing at some stage over the next couple of months.
I said a while ago, Rob, I can't remember when it was, maybe about 6 months ago, I said on the podcast, didn't I, that nothing gets better from here on in, and I stand by that.
I mean, Alex, I can't deal with that at the moment. I need something.
Well, you've got the baby, so that's okay. I mean, that is better, whichever way you look at it.
Yes, but Alex, being confined to my house for the best part of a year with a newborn baby, I mean, it doesn't fill me with optimism.
No. Good point. Well, what's the phrase? What is it? You can't put the genie back in the bottle, Rob. It's happening now. So you just have to live with it.
You're right. Thanks for the support there. Yeah.
Right, Rob, is there any news?
Well, there's been a lot of chat on the forum recently about Cameo. Are you aware of Cameo?
Yes, Cameo is that rather tawdry platform where sort of... Oh God! That is another sign, Rob. It's something that we'll look back on as part of the litany of things that led to the end times. Was, oh God, vaguely relevant sort of celebrities and some pretty high profile people as well, just making a buck, grifting along by making videos for people saying. I mean, it really is tawdry, Rob. It's the most. Oh God, it's so tawdry. So you can ask, like, I don't know, David Hasselhoff to say happy birthday to you for 50 quid or more than that. I don't know if David Hasselhoff's on there, so I retract that. But there are some surprising people on there. I think Richard Dreyfuss is on there, Rob. Like, and he makes loads of them, apparently. He just spends his whole day sitting around in lockdown making happy birthday videos.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, there are comedians and entertainers on there who obviously haven't been able to work over the last 12 months. So I can understand if they're using this to supplement their income. But Amy did send an article because apparently Nigel Farage is on there.
Oh, fuck no. He is taking the piss. Is he really?
Well, she sent me a link to a Poke article, and I must admit I haven't read it, but the gist is that apparently someone was trolling Nigel Farage by asking him to send a message to his friend for being granted asylum in the UK. And also, there was another article that was kindly submitted, which basically showcases, it was submitted by Amy again, but showcases some of the artists, and I use that term liberally, that are currently selling their wares on this platform, including Basil Brush, Poor Chuckle. I mean, Alex, class, Alex, pure class.
Let me ask you a question, Rob. What is the difference between this, what you're describing, and cam whoring? Right, really, what is the difference?
Well, I mean, there's a lot less nudity.
So can we ask Nigel Farage if for £1,000 he'll fist himself on Cameo?
I mean, it's a possibility. I don't know the state of his finances, but I know obviously he's recently resigned his membership of whatever godforsaken party he was a member of recently. But, it's worth an ask, Alex.
Right.
Also, Steve, I seem to remember at one stage or another, you very kindly said that you would be willing to pay a celebrity to promote the podcast. If that's still legitimate, if that's still a legitimate request, then let us know, and then we'll pick out the most. I think it has to be someone on a par with Keith Chegwin. It's just a shame that he's no longer with us.
Well, yeah. Well, quite. I mean, that would be quite a feat if we could get him to do it.
I'd love that. I mean, for me, it wouldn't get much better, really. Maybe Les Dennis. Although, Les
Dennis is alive, Rob, just to be clear. No. Nobody is suggesting that Les Dennis is dead. At the time of recording, 10:40, Sunday, 21st of March, I am not aware that Les Dennis has passed away.
No. And we have spoken on this podcast about our great affinity for Les Dennis. I'm just saying that hopefully he wouldn't degrade himself by going on Cameo. And if he does, then please let us know, and I'll ask for a message.
Rob, also, I mentioned to Rob today that we neglected to mention something Face the Strange knocked up for us a few weeks ago. I think we forgot to mention it, even though we both loved it. And if we are repeating ourselves, we apologise. But do you want to say what that was, Rob? Because it was, again, another brilliant piece of work by Face the Strange. We need to open up a local anaesthetic gallery. One of these pop-up galleries, Rob, in central London that just displays his local anaesthetic-themed artworks.
That's a great idea, actually. So, if anyone didn't happen to see it, it was a few weeks ago, and I apologise that we've overlooked it on the podcast. But Face the Strange very kindly mocked up, and you've probably seen them around. They're around the UK. I think they're by different organisations, but they're usually sort of English heritage, I believe, which is the blue plaques, which obviously has indicates that a celebrity or a person of note had lived in a property or had worked in a property, etc., etc. And he very kindly...
Good summary.
Yeah, thanks. He very kindly mocked one up for our friend of yours, Orlando, saying that Orlando had never run a Japanese restaurant out of his property in Norwich, which we know he clearly is. And it was superb.
I mean, it looked authentic. If that would be on the Facebook page, would it, somewhere, Rob? You put them all on there, do you?
Yes, they are on there, yes.
We need to create a special gallery of them. I don't know, can we do that? Like a particular album? This shows how much I know about Facebook. One would assume they would offer that rudimentary functionality, because I'm not entirely sure what functionality they do offer, but...
I imagine that is the case. Yeah, I'll look into it, because it wouldn't be difficult to mock up. So yeah, let me leave it with me, Alex, and I'll get them.
At one point, I do think it'd be nice to cobble them all together, everything he's ever done for us. It'd be quite something.
I agree, and I mean, I've got a gallery on my phone. Actually, that's a good point. Actually, because I've got a gallery on my Google Photos, so maybe I'll see if there's a way that I can share it publicly, so people could just view it. But leave it with me, and I'll make sure the request is fulfilled anywhere between 9 to 12 months.
And thanks again, Face the Strange. Right, Rob, let's crack on with this. I've got a story for you. It's only a very, very short story. I just thought I'd fill you in because it's pretty important. You will be aware, Rob, of the retailer. Well, I'm sure you'll be aware because I'm sure you'll make many purchases there a year. Well, maybe every couple of years. You would be a frequenter, I assume, Rob, of the establishment Shoe Zone?
No, Alex, I've never bought a pair. I'm aware of the shop, but I've never bought a pair of shoes from Shoe Zone. I
just wanted to tell you, Rob, that recently their finance boss, the head honcho of finance there, was a guy called Peter Foote. And he has left.
Ironic.
He has left the company. So Peter Foote, working for Shoe Zone, has left the company as finance boss, Rob, and has been replaced by a man called Terry Boot.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm not kidding you.
Was Peter Foote any relation to Paul Foote, just out of interest?
No idea. Or Michael, maybe.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
Who's Paul Foote?
Paul Foote, was it... I think he's a journalist. Am I getting that wrong? I'm sure Paul Foote was a journalist.
Right. It's a bit of an obscure reference. A comedian, apparently. English comedian.
Oh, that's it, yeah. That's what I was getting confused with. Yeah, sorry. I knew I hadn't made the name up, but...
47 years old, born 1973. I'm not sure this is our demographic, Rob, that reference, but never mind. Anyway, so that was just an update for anybody wanting to know what's happening with Shoezone. Anyway, right, let's get on to the real stuff. This is from Yahoo, Rob, a story published by Yahoo Entertainment, which of course we're allowed to report on because we do our other podcast, Staff Talk, where we feature stories from Yahoo Answers. So we have a special relationship, if you like, with Yahoo. Not that they know about it, but we do.
Can I just say, by the way, I love the fact you're saying that we're allowed to put on Yahoo. Considering some of the publications you've reported on in the past, I think Yahoo is one of the more legitimate sources.
Rob, that's not fair. All our stories are legitimate. They do come with a guaranteed seal of authenticity. No, that what they do, Rob. Apart from that Benedict Cumberbatch one you read out that time that was clearly fake, all our stories have been real. We're not The Onion. These are real stories. That's what's so frightening, Rob. Right, listen.
Alex, you need to stop spreading fake news. That was a legitimate story, and I have evidence to prove it.
The chocolate Cumberbatch. Yes. Right, anyway. It's by Bruce Herring. It's from March the 6th, 2021. Now, I know you will have heard, I think you will have definitely heard about this, but there's more detail. Because this was actually reported on back when the Capitol riots kind of happened shortly after. There's more detail. So, headline, Forrest Gump cited as reason to release QAnon shaman from custody. I'm sure you've heard about this already.
No.
Oh, brilliant.
No.
Now, you know who the QAnon shaman was, right, Rob, during the Capitol riot? Would you like to describe him?
I mean, when you say describe him, what exactly do you mean? I mean, how he was dressed or him as a character?
His attire.
Well, I think this was a man who was dressed in a variety of animal skins and was wearing the pelt of, I think, was it a deer or something, an elk maybe? I'm not entirely sure what it was. And had face paints on, as you'd expect, yeah. Of a shaman, by the way.
So a federal courtroom is a lot like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That was never truer than Friday when the attorney representing Jacob Chainsley, a.k.a. Jake Angeli, a.k.a. the QAnon shaman, used the fictional film Forrest Gump in his argument, Rob. So this is in his defence before a federal judge. The QAnon shaman faces felony charges of interfering with police during a civil disorder, not interfering like that, Rob, and obstruction of Congress, as well as several misdemeanor counts. He was arrested in Arizona on January the 9th and has been in custody ever since. Chainsley has argued that he was allowed into the Capitol building by police. His bare-chested and behorned fur hat were widely publicised as a symbol of the January the 6th insurrection. Attorney Al Watkins, I love it. I don't know, something about Al Watkins that I like as a name, claimed that his client went to the Capitol on January the 6th at the invitation of former President Donald Trump, and in his words, like Forrest Gump. Because as you remember, Rob, in the movie Forrest Gump, they CGI'd that scene of Forrest Gump meeting Nixon, Rob.
Yes. So, are they maintaining, I'm assuming there's no evidence to actually verify this claim, or was he saying that with Trump's rally speech that was the invitation?
Exactly, Rob. His somewhat opaque reference explained. In the film, Forrest Gump was invited with a US ping pong team to the White House, where he met then President Richard Nixon, an encounter that would prove fateful for Nixon in the days after the grip and grin, after he shook his hand and everything. We're not dealing with a man of violence, Al Watkins said to US District Judge Royce Lamberth. They genuinely believed in the truth of what was being asserted by the highest hired hand in the land, the president. Prosecutors argued that there is no reasonable version where Chainsley could have believed he was being escorted into the Capitol, pointing to the broken windows, the alarms going off in the building. He was allegedly asked to leave several times, but remained in the Senate chamber, leaving a note at the vice president's desk stating, "It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming." Now, one of the things that I thought about that when I read that, Rob, is that because of the comparisons to Forrest Gump, wouldn't it have been amazing if in this fictitious meeting between Forrest Gump and Nixon, Forrest Gump had left a note on Richard Nixon's desk saying, "It's only a matter of time, justice is coming," because both were kind of equally true.
That's a good point, actually. I must admit, the phrase, "it's only a matter of time, justice is coming," it speaks more of Judge Dredd than anything else.
Yeah. Totally. A ruling on the request for release is expected soon. Until then, Chainsley is staying at the Grey Bar Hotel. Forrest Gump, of course, stayed at the Watergate in a room set up by Richard Nixon. The Grey Bar Hotel sounds pretty, ropey, I'm going to be honest.
It sounds like a euphemism for prison. The Grey Bar Hotel.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I'm just heading to the Grey Bar Hotel for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Talking of things covered in fur, Rob. aka the QAnon shaman.
Right.
I've got a story from the BBC here from the 5th of March by Kerry Allen. China Zoo tries to pass dog, offers wolf.
I mean, I can understand that. I mean, if you look at some dogs, they're like maybe sort of a husky, or like an Akita. Yeah, I can understand.
Right, well, I've got a picture here, Rob, talking of bars. Behind some green bars this time in an enclosure is a Rottweiler, and then there is a brick wall next to it with Chinese writing written on it, which describes him as a wolf. Social media footage appeared on Tuesday showing a visitor to the Zhangzhuan Zoo in Jiangning, Hubei province, visiting the zoo's wolf enclosure. He filmed an animal that looked like a Rottweiler, it is a Rottweiler, lying on its side in the cage, and said to the animal, "Woof, are you a wolf?" in a short video that has since gone viral. It's led to a lot of jokes online, but sparked debate about whether zoos are necessary in the post-COVID era, with many voicing concern about their maintenance. Rob, we've had some very distressing stories, haven't we, about zoos? We had that amazing story. Wasn't it a German zookeeper, or I think it was German, and he was saying that he was going to have to kill all his animals if trade didn't pick up?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking also about that. I think it was either Chinese or Japanese family who brought a dog which turned out to be a brown bear.
Oh, yes, that was a great story.
Yeah, there has been a lot of. I mean, do we need to mention Eagle Heights? I mean, that's obviously been a recurring theme.
Yes. Yeah. I just wonder about this phrase about whether zoos are necessary in the post-COVID era. Were they ever necessary, Rob? I mean, I'm sure that if we're all still around, decades to come, centuries, I don't know, we'll look back on them as a rather quaint thing. A bit like a kind of freak shows at Coney Island that we look back and say, how did we do that? The idea of sort of locking these poor animals up in this sort of permanent state of incarceration, really, and wandering around and gawping at them.
I think it really comes down to if they have any sort of efforts that could be used as conservation. So I know that the ZSL obviously has a big remit of trying to breed in captivity and then release in the wild. I mean, if they're like Eagle Heights, which I think is just for purely entertainment purposes, but then obviously they...
Rob, whoa. Actually, I am not going to allow that. I'm not going to allow that. And I mean that. I'm not even saying that as a joke. Eagle Heights is not just for entertainment purposes. They do that. A lot of what they do is conservation. That's what it's set up for. It's a sanctuary, Rob.
Are you in the pocket of Eagle Heights?
No.
Right. I mean, to be fair, Alex, they do obviously release their animals in the wild afterwards. I mean,
accidentally.
Although that's... Yeah, not intentionally. They just get out. So,
Rob, we had a friend who we've mentioned before on this podcast who we worked with, or I worked with, but you knew him from university. A brilliant guy but just one of these people that is only the kind of person you come across once in a lifetime. And he once, I remember once, he went out for a walk. He would go out for a walk like at lunch, but he'd always invariably get lost. His sense of direction wasn't very great. And one day, he was only meant to have like a 45-minute lunch break. And after an hour and a half, he called me rather panicked and said he didn't know where he was. He didn't know how to find his way home. This was we were working in sort of a Maida Vale sort of area, Edgware Road up there. And I said, "What can you see?" And he said, "I can see green, I can see grass." I said, "What else?" He said, "I can see a giraffe." I said, "You're in London Zoo."
Yeah,
that's where you are. And he did eventually find his way home, but...
He, such a lovely guy. I mean, a very, very intelligent, just really lacked common sense. So this individual, I think, I know I've told this story on the podcast before, but I lived with him for, I think, 6 months after university, and we once tasked him with going to buy a replacement light bulb. Quite not a difficult task at all, really. And I remember getting a call from him saying, "How much should I be paying for a light bulb?" So what would you think, Alex? What's reasonable for a light bulb?
Well, the trouble is that it's all changed now, Rob. Back then, when light bulbs were light bulbs, they were cheap. You were talking about 69p. I mean, it was nothing.
Well, he was looking to pay £8 for one light bulb, and it turns out that the first place he'd gone was Habitat. And we said, just put the light bulb down and get out.
Yeah. But nowadays, Rob, of course, you can pay a lot for lights, smart lights, all things like that. They cost a lot, but then again, they last a lot longer. Anyway, Rob, we're drifting. Anyway, So, Mr. Zhu, who filmed the footage, told Beijing News he'd asked staff at the park why there was a dog in the wolf's cage, and he was told there had been a wolf, but it had, in quotes, died of old age.
I think that's a perfectly acceptable excuse.
Yeah. Elephant dies of old age in the zoo. Put a cat in there. Why not?
Well, this is what I'm about to say. Well, no, I think it has to be proportionate, Alex. So if a meerkat dies, you can stick a cat in. Absolutely. And also, is it not better that they're leaving wildlife in the wild? I mean, they're there in abundance of cats. And people love cats.
An employee confirmed this to local media and said that the dog, which had been raised as a watchdog by the park, was only being kept there temporarily. But as the Shine.cn news website notes, he did also hint that the zoo had been financially struggling, saying it didn't have enough visitors to keep the zoo up and running well. The park, which charges about £1.70, also keeps lions and tigers and has now been told by the local forestry bureau to remove the sign leading to the enclosure. The incident has sparked a lot of discussion online. Many users on the popular Sina Weibo microblog say that it has given them a good laugh, although others say they are shocked that it actually makes them a little sad. At least get a husky, one Weibo user says, noticing that the breed would at least look more similar to a wolf. Their post received more than 6,000 likes. Anyway, you get the idea. In 2019, similar video footage showed a domestic dog in a wolf enclosure at another park in the nearby city of Wuhan. In 2017, a zoo in the southern Guangxi promised penguins at its site, but visitors arrived, Rob, to find inflatable penguins. I feel like we covered that. I'm pretty sure we did.
I seem to remember it was a few years ago, and I don't think it was inflatable. I think there were penguin statues.
Yeah. In 2013, a Tibetan Mastiff was passed off as an African cat at a zoo in Henan. There have also been multiple cases overseas of donkeys being painted to look like zebras.
We've definitely covered a story of that.
Donkeys being painted to look like zebras is a very good episode title, though, Rob.
Actually, this reminds me of a story that a friend of mine told me. Very, very long, very similar to what we've been talking about. A friend of mine went to quite a small zoo and realised that in one of the cages there was a small dog. He did say he wouldn't recommend it because it was a Shih Tzu.
Weren't we talking about Les Dennis earlier, Rob? Right, Rob.
Oh God,
Weirdly enough, Rob, my last story is now about Taiwan. Rob, would you like to say anything about China and Taiwan?
No.
Right. So, this is by it's by the France Press, whatever. It's a republished story. It's in the Traitorous Guardian. Rob, this is actually a brilliant story. I hope you haven't seen it. Taiwan official urges people to stop changing their name to salmon.
Unfortunately, you've just stolen my second story. But it was covered so widely. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sorry, Rob, but I am going to go with it because I got there first. A Taiwanese official has pleaded with people to stop changing their name to salmon after dozens made the unusual move to take advantage of, what else, a restaurant promotion. In a phenomenon that has been labelled salmon chaos by local media, about 150, mostly young people, visited government officials in recent days to officially change their name. The cause of this sudden enthusiasm was a chain of sushi restaurants. Under the 2-day promotion, which ended on Thursday, any customer whose ID card contained Gyuyu, the Chinese characters for salmon, would be entitled to an all-you-can-eat sushi meal along with 5 friends. And in Taiwan, you're allowed to officially change your name up to 3 times. So, Rob, do you think there were people who'd already... only 3 times? So do you think that there were people, Rob, who'd already changed their name twice for whatever reason in the past, and now they are stuck with the name salmon?
Oh, without a doubt.
So, Rob, this led me to think, of course, before we read the rest of this story, would you, Rob, be willing to... Right, so let's say McDonald's offer all you can eat for you and Sarah for the weekend if you change your name by deed poll to Rob McFlurry. Do you do it? Rob McFlurry sounds cool, by the way.
Oh, well, actually, it doesn't sound too bad. I think I would have to consider it. Yeah.
What?
I mean, it really depends on how long the promotion is going to run for. And how much I'm going to use it. I mean, if it's a year-long promotion, then maybe.
So if Weatherspoons say, if you change your name to Rob Weatherspoons, we'll give you a free bag of crisps, do you do it?
No, that's ridiculous, Ali. Again, it's an economy of scale here.
Right.
I'm not sure if I use that phrase correctly.
So, Taiwanese officials are not amused. This kind of name change not only wastes time but causes unnecessary paperwork, the Deputy Interior Minister Shen Zhuangyan told reporters on Thursday, as he urged the public to cherish administrative resources. Something we should all do, Rob. We should all cherish bureaucracy, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, we should really appreciate it for what it is.
I hope everyone could be more rational, he added. Local media ran interviews with people who'd just taken advantage of the promotion. I just changed my name this morning to add the characters salmon, and we already ate more than £176, a college student surnamed Ma told TVBS News Channel in southern Kaohsiung City. Roughly translated, Ma's new moniker means explosive good-looking salmon.
Okay. Explosive good-looking salmon. That's a good episode title as well.
What was the other one I said a minute ago? Explosive good-looking salmon and zebras painted and donkeys painted to look like zebras, something like that. Well, you can work it out.
Yeah.
Other salmon-themed names reported in local media included Salmon Prince, Meteor Salmon King. I like Meteor Salmon King.
Meteor Salmon King is a great band name.
Okay, Rob, you got some stories for us.
Yeah, so my first story this week is from the Derbyshire Times.
Nice local. That's our bread and butter, Rob. It was in the past, wasn't it? Your good old British local news story. Best in the world.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, I'm very proud to say that both my stories are from local sources this week, mainly because I've had to, change one out because of the way you stole that story. But that's fine. I'm over it. Although I did this, so this is the first story that I'd chosen before the theft. It's by Lloyd Brent from the 8th of February. This is a great story. Derbyshire police fine naked man in car park after discovering discarded wet wipes.
Right, Rob, the mind boggles. I assume masturbation is going to be part of this, but I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Well, yeah. The man who was sitting naked in a car park said he'd become lost after taking a number of wrong turns after driving to the shops, specifically to buy a packet of wet wipes.
Right, but if you're driving to a local shop, how do you get lost and take a number of wrong turns?
And end up naked and in a car park.
He wasn't an astronomer, was Rob? Because we've had quite a few stories recently about people who claim to be going off stargazing who were found in compromising, situations. Yeah,
there's no mention that he was off to. Was it to take pictures of Saturn or Jupiter?
Uranus, yeah. I think you'll find, but yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So police find the man and also find another clothed man in a nearby car park.
Right. Okay. This is very similar to that story we had about that man who was found in a bush on a lay-by. He was meant to be stargazing, but was found with a man in a bush.
Yeah, two men laying naked. Yeah.
And claimed that they were just stargazing.
Yeah. So Derbyshire Police said that officers from Melbourne and Mercia's Safer Neighbourhood team were helping park rangers.
Sorry, right. Sorry, this is Derbyshire. You said
this is Derbyshire. Yeah. We're helping park rangers deal with after dark behaviour that often results in used wet wipes and other stored items being left behind in car parks.
Oh, God, this is lovely, isn't it? Can I say I like the phrase after dark behaviour?
Yeah, it's good,
very evocative, Rob. I'd like a TV show called After Dark Behaviour.
Yeah, but it's the kind of show I think it's going to get grubby very quickly.
It's the kind of show that when Channel 5 first started and we didn't have the plethora of channels now, there would have been a show at 2 a.m. called After Dark Behaviour.
It does surprise me that Channel 5 haven't resulted into a show just called like Dogging Tales or something, where they just follow doggers around the country.
Rob, that exists. I guarantee you.
It must do somewhere.
If the kind of idea of dogging had been more mainstream and prevalent during that I'm Alan Partridge first season, when he was pitching shows to Tony Hayers,
yeah,
one of them would have been like dogging with Les Dennis.
I don't appreciate you bringing Les Dennis into this. I mean, Keith Chegwin would definitely do it.
No, Rob, the man's dead.
Exactly, you can't slander the dead.
Is that true?
Yes, we covered this on the podcast before.
Right, but it's still not nice, Rob. Is it?
No, true. No, and this was only based on the fact that obviously Keith Chegwin obviously famously did a naked game show.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think he'd be more open-minded. That's all I was implying.
Dogging with Terry Nutkins.
There we go. Perfect.
That is a great show, Rob, right there.
Isn't Terry Nutkins is dead?
No, he isn't.
He
Piss
is.
off.
He's dead.
No, sorry. If that's true, then we're going to have to stop recording. He died? Of what?
Yeah. I'm sorry to break news like this,
what
Alex.
What a lovely guy he was. And there's a lot here about him and London Zoo, weirdly enough. How do you know how he died? Right. Leukemia. Right, and I've just, I really want to apologise. And no, I mean this to the Nutkins family. God, Alex. Okay, dogging with Chris Eubank.
Bernard Manning. Bernard Manning, he's dead as well. But I can imagine again.
I don't want somebody dead. I want dogging with, hang on, it will come to me. Wait.
Hang on, Alex. Dogging with Roy Chubby Brown.
God.
He can tell a few jokes beforehand, interview some of the people involved in the activities. He'd love it, Alex. Be right up his street. Not a euphemism.
That'll work. Back to the story.
Yeah, what can I say? Also, dark behaviour, which often results in used wet wipes and other soiled items.
Is a very long but good episode title. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very good.
So the Rangers raised the alarm about this, fearing it posed health risks to people using the outdoor space in the country for for essential exercise.
Well, can you explain to me why is so? These are people meeting up in car parks for sex, dogging, right?
Well, yeah.
What's with the wet wipes? Why not just tissues? Am I missing something here?
I think you can do a lot more with a wet wipe than you can with a tissue, Alex. I think it cleans more.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Because obviously you've got the moisture and there's like a soapy element as well, which really scrubs up a treat.
Right.
So police officers were on a routine patrol on Saturday, February 6th, when they were alerted to a parked Mazda vehicle with its engine running in a closed car park in South Derbyshire.
Wait. Was he masturbating? Thank you.
Brilliant, Alex. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
We should end the show there, end on the high, really.
See you next week, folks. On pulling up next to the car, officers were starting to discover a lone male without any clothes on. Can I also say, by the way...
What time was this?
It doesn't give a time, but I'm assuming in the morning at some stage.
What, like you mean that 1 in the morning?
It doesn't give a time.
Or like 4 in the morning? I mean, I don't understand.
I imagine quite early. I mean,
it's 6 a.m.
Well, it says obviously it's after dark behaviour, Alex.
Oh, right, so like 1 a.m, yeah. Or something,
I would think so. There's also a lovely picture on the Derbyshire Times website of a police officer pointing at a wet wipe, which is really worth a look if you're interested.
Picture of the year.
So a spokesman for the force said, naturally, officers challenged the nude male, asking why he was in the closed car park. The man claimed he had stumbled across the car park by accident after taking several wrong turns, having just made a specific journey to the shop to purchase a pack of wet wipes.
Why was he naked? What was his excuse for being naked?
However, the male was unable to provide a reasonable excuse as to why he was stark naked in the car park during the height of a national lockdown. His clothes just fell off, Alex. What's the problem? It's possible. It's possible. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was out for a drive. He made a few wrong turns. No, I know I've been in the situation.
Where were his clothes? Next to him, or did he just go out and make it? Right, okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, right, go on then. Move on. Where were the wet wipes then?
There wasn't a lot more to the story. There's a quote from I'm guessing the press officer, if you'd like to hear that.
Yes, please.
As a result of his barefaced cheek, the man was issued with a community protection notice warning, prohibiting him from exchanging acts of an antisocial behaviour nature, including insisting he wears clothes in public places and not discarding rubbish or wet wipes in car parks across South Derbyshire.
Can I just say, I love the fact they were making a joke of this again at the beginning of it, due to his barefaced cheek. The police have got to stop with all these puns and humour. It's not what we're paying you for. My taxes go on this.
Yeah. They would also...
If we want jokes, I'll go to Roy Chubby Brown, or Les Dennis, or Russ Abbott, or at a push, Michael
Joe
McIntyre.
Pasquale? Okay. The police also...
Dogging with Michael McIntyre.
When you say dogging with Michael McIntyre, that almost implies that he's getting involved.
I didn't say that, Rob.
Police also added, by the way, that the nude man did not have any mental health problems, so he knew exactly what he was doing at the time.
Well, what did they... Hang on a minute. What, did they carry out a full psychiatric assessment, did they? They can't say that. He might have been depressed. He might have had any other... Anyway, right, okay. So basically, the upshot of it all, don't hang out in car parks naked at night. Are they saying it's okay to do that in the day, then? Is that the implication?
Well, obviously, the protection notice did say that obviously he had to wear clothes. So if you're going to do it, make sure you're clothed, or at least, you know, your modesty is hidden, and make sure you take your rubbish with you afterwards. My next story, now it goes back a bit, but it is a great story. So it's from the Somerset Live by James Wood from December 2017. So bang on trend.
Sorry, did you say December 2017?
Yes.
Why are we reading a story from 20... Okay, fine. Look, we've got to cover them where we find them.
Exactly. Yeah. People don't come here for topical debates. Well, they do. They don't come here for up to... what am I trying to say, Alex?
They don't come here for hot news. They come here for funny stories. Who cares when they happened?
Exactly. Thank you. That's what I was trying to allude to. Right. Okay. Headline. Churchill Parish Council says sorry after wording error on minibus rebrands group as the Anus Society. A parish council has apologised if anyone was offended after an unfortunate error on the community minibus spelt out the word anus.
What do you mean? Fuck off. Do you know where I live in South East London, Rob? There is a community centre that's been there since I was a child, and that notoriously, until they did eventually take down the sign recently because the whole place was built up by some, opened into a shop, the neighbourhood centre closed down. That's austerity for you. But it was called, ever since it was opened, just because of a misprint, the Neighbourhood Centre.
Right, okay.
For 30 plus years. I mean, crazy. Nobody ever bothered to change the sign. Fine.
I suppose after a while, you grow quite. There's an affinity towards it. It's you kind of reclaim it as your own.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure that would happen with the anus bus, though.
Well, again, it depends really what the activities are. Maybe maybe they're venturing out into car parks for after dark behaviour.
Perhaps.
So a parish council was apologised. Oh, I just read that. Councillors at the Churchill Parish Council were left red-faced after discovering that when the door of the community bus was opened, the phrase Churchill Anus Society was spelt out. So it had a sliding door.
What was it meant to say?
It was meant to say... so it says the Churchill and Langford Minibus Society, but you could... But yeah, the way it opened, it just cut the US of the bus. Where did the AN come from then?
Well, the annual, the thing you read, the and.
Oh yeah, sorry, and yeah. There we go. Okay. The unfortunate wording caught the attention of Christmas shoppers in Weston-super-Mare over the weekend. One resident who wishes to remain anonymous was doing some last-minute food shopping at Asda in the town when he spotted the bus. He said, I just had to take pictures whilst Christmas shopping at Asda, wondering how many more amusing words are spelt out when opening slide doors.
Do you know what's ironic about that, Rob? That if you stick the word anonymous on the side of a bus with a sliding door, you do also potentially get the word anus.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, very true. Lord Bat, the booking secretary for the minibus, has now responded to the photograph, saying that the council is aware of the situation. She said, we've been made aware of the situation, and this will be addressed in the new year, as we've had a shortage of funds, have not been in the position to have the signage amended before.
An unacceptable sob story, Rob, to try and get out of their responsibilities.
Absolutely, Alex. I completely agree. I mean, at the very least, you could have just peeled off the additional letters.
What a cracking story, Rob. 2017 or otherwise. I'm very pleased you reported on that. Okay, Rob. We were talking earlier, I've got a fantastic story. We were talking earlier, Rob, about London Zoo.
Yes.
Now, what would be one of the most famous creatures kept at London Zoo, Rob?
Well, it would have been the elephants, but they've now been moved out.
Name something else.
Oh, a tiger?
No, Rob. What if everybody really go to a zoo to see?
I go for the tigers. Rhino. Meerkats.
No, Rob.
Badgers.
Think of China.
Oh, pandas.
Right. I've got a story now about a restaurant called Panda Express in the United States. Now this, Rob, this is actually a pretty distressing story in many ways, but it must be read out for the details, Rob. This is a find and a half that I found this story. This is from a local paper in the United States, on the West Coast, called the Pasadena Star News, right?
Okay.
It's in their investigation section. It's by Scott Schwebke.
Right.
And like I said, it's from the Pasadena Star News. Headline. Now, this was, by the way, Rob, on March the 8th. Panda Express workers forced to strip in cult-like team-building seminar, lawsuit alleges.
Right. This kind of reminds me of the customers that were made to ride around Poundland.
It's similar to that, but darker and worse.
Okay.
So, Panda Express, right, I'm pretty sure, is a chain of restaurants, like a franchise in the United States.
That rings a bell, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Their logo is a picture of a panda.
Makes sense.
And I assume they specialise in Chinese food, although I don't want to be quoted as that. I mean, I think they do. Can I just check that?
Yeah.
Panda Express. It's going to make me hungry looking this up, I think, Rob. Panda Express menu. Oh, it's an American fast food restaurant that serves American Chinese cuisine. So that's what it is, Rob. Got it?
What's American Chinese cuisine?
I don't know. A former employee of a Panda Express in Santa Clarita alleges she was required to strip down to her underwear and hug a partially clad co-worker during a, in quotes, cult-like ritual at a 2019 training seminar sponsored by the company as a prerequisite, Rob, to promotion. So you're not getting no promotion unless you attend this seminar. And she is suing the Panda Restaurant Group, which is headquartered in Rosemead, and an Alive Seminars and Coaching Academy in Pico Rivera for sexual battery, a hostile work environment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Can I just say, Rob, sexual battery, a hostile work environment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress would be a very inappropriate episode title, but I mention it anyway.
I'm so glad you said inappropriate, because I was just about to say we cannot have that in any circumstance.
No. And she's seeking unspecified damages in a lawsuit filed last month in Los Angeles County Superior Court. Right. So, as I said, there are elements of this which are not funny at all and actually quite distressing, but I have to read this story, Rob. So the victim says, Rob, that she began working for Panda Express in 2016 and was told in July 2019 by then store manager Matthew Simuda that she needed to complete a self-improvement seminar conducted by Alive Seminars. Eager to improve her skills and advance within the company, the plaintiff signed up and paid out of pocket to attend a 4-day program, the lawsuit says. Panda Express pushed its employees in the Los Angeles region to complete this seminar training. In many cases, it was a prerequisite to promotion. So you with me so far, Rob?
I think it's really bad that if it's a prerequisite for promotion, you have to pay out of pocket anyway. That seems really unfair.
Absolutely. The seminar was held, where else, Rob, but in a warehouse in East Los Angeles. And
God.
And it was attended by 20 to 50 Panda Express employees from throughout Southern California. Those who attended the seminar were required to provide their employee ID numbers and received intake materials with the Panda logo. Alive Seminars served in essence as an extension of Panda Express's own human resources department, says the lawsuit. The complaint alleges that the seminar was bizarre and quickly devolved, Rob, like this podcast often does, into psychological abuse. At the start, attendees were told to sit down and not talk, and were left in isolation for a full hour before...
What the fuck?
Before, out of nowhere, a man stormed into the room, yelling in Spanish and berating them for sitting there and doing nothing, when that is exactly what they've been instructed to do, says the complainant. This is a process, Rob, designed to weed out the wheat from the chaff. Do you understand, Rob? The cream will always rise to the top, right?
I thought the expression is the scum will always rise to the top.
Can I just say, I don't know, I think a lot of these ideas we could interweave into this TV show we're working on, Noel Edmonds and Pontin's Challenge. This could be elements of how we treat the contestants. So I think a good way to start would be they turn up at Pontins for their 2-week stay. Every moment's going to be filmed. They're all put in a kind of clubhouse together, and they're told to sit there and say nothing in silence. And then we send a man in shouting at them in Spanish, berating them, why aren't you doing anything? That's how we start. But then he rips off his disguise, and it's really Noel Edmonds. Oh my God.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I don't know why I get the impression that the first thing they do is they're taken to a darkened chalet. I also like the idea that occasionally...
Make sure there are wet wipes provided, Rob.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, just the idea of just someone shouting at them periodically, have fun, and they have to demonstrate how they're having fun.
It's a great idea.
Otherwise they get kicked off.
So anyway, this guy who actually worked for Aliv's seminars, the guy who storms in talking in Spanish, loudly proclaimed that the attendees were nothing and don't matter, and berated them individually. The overall effect was that of a particularly nasty drill sergeant. So I want you to think about the guy from Full Metal Jacket, only doing it all in Spanish. That's what I want you to think about. Seminar participants were prohibited from using their cell phones. There was no clock in the room, and the doors and windows were all covered with black cloth. This seminar group, right, these people who offer this training, like presumably Panda Express has said, look, we want to find out, who's got the right stuff. And this is the idea. This is an organisation where we do this for business, and this is what they thought was appropriate way to start. We're going to confiscate their cell phones. There's going to be no clock in the room. We're going to cover all the windows in black cloth, and we're going to send in a drill sergeant to tell them that they don't matter and are worth nothing.
This is psychological torture. There's no way to put this.
Exactly. The atmosphere resembled less a self-improvement seminar than a site for off-the-books interrogation of terrorist suspects, a complaint alleges. So it's like Guantanamo Bay, this, Rob.
It's just extraordinary. I mean, you really hope that the powers that be at Panda Express, you'd hope that they're actually taking part in this training themselves. I mean, because surely... This has been subcontracted somewhere.
But it becomes normalised then, doesn't it, Rob, if they have?
Well, yeah. Maybe.
The complaint continues. The sensory isolation and intimidation was reinforced by constant yelling and verbal abuse by seminar staff, creating an atmosphere of fear. Nevertheless, most attendees, including the plaintiff, felt they had no choice but to remain because they were sent to the seminar by Panda Express and told that their opportunity for promotion would depend on completion of the seminar. When the seminar continued on July 13th, 2019, the woman allegedly was forced to strip down to her underwear under the guise of trust building. The plaintiff, stripped almost naked in front of strangers and co-workers, was extremely uncomfortable, but knew it was her only chance at a promotion. Meanwhile, Aliv's seminar staff were openly ogling the woman in the state of undress, smiling and laughing. The exercise culminated when the victims and other participants had to stand up, Rob. This was their next step. The exercise culminated when the victims and other participants had to stand up and yell out loud about their inner struggles until everyone else in the group believed them.
Alex, this is not okay.
It's not. The last male participant had some difficulty convincing the others and as a result broke down in tears. So the plaintiff was told to go and stand in the middle of the room with the male participant. They were forced to hug it out, wearing nothing but their underwear. So you get the idea. As time went on, the seminar more and more resembled a cult ritual, and this does really feel like a cult. This is like one of those exposés you get by Louis Theroux into organisations of which I'm not going to name, but you know the kind that I mean.
I do.
Yeah. Aliv's seminars proceeded to dim the lights. Plaintiff and other attendees were instructed to stand up and close their eyes, pretending that a light from above would come down and take all of the negative energy from them. The negative energy which they've just put into them, by the way. Right? Yeah. And then pretend that a hole opened up. Pretend that a hole opened up in the ground and swallowed all the negative energy. While this was happening, one of the Aliv seminar staff had a cell phone with a light on, recording the plaintiffs in their state of undress. Attendees, the lawsuit alleges, were confined in an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. If a plaintiff wanted to use a restroom, someone from the seminar staff would stand outside the restroom door. When another participant ran into the restroom to throw up, seminar staff ran after her. Another male participant was only given a small trash can to throw up in and was forced to do it in front of the other attendees.
Sorry. Why are they vomiting, Alex? What have they done to them for this to happen?
Rob, this is criminal behaviour. It's not a slap on the wrist or fining. This is going to jail. How could anybody who participated in this have thought, I'm not talking about the people who turned up, I mean the people who conducted it, have thought, I mean this is an example, right, Rob, of groupthink where people are just going along with something because it feels like
absolutely
it's okay. And just a comment, just to show the kind of compassion Rob, that you get on these kind of articles. Somebody just says, she's probably an idiot when she votes too. So that just shows you the kind of feeling of sort of fraternity and everybody being in it together that is prevalent at the moment in the United States.
I suddenly feel very deflated.
Don't worry, Rob. We're coming up to the listener story of the week.
Right. Good.
Okay, Rob. I've just unsheathed my purple rod. It is time for our listener story of the week, but I'm not going to play the jingle this week. I'm going to play something I wrote myself. Rob.
Sorry, I think my cat has learned to open doors. Because that door was shut and I don't quite...
It was. It's a pity this isn't recorded. We could have gone back and seen how the hell she got out. He got out. He? She?
Yeah, it's Nibbler. I'm very concerned right now. I'm going to have to shut the door, unfortunately, because Sarah's got the TV on downstairs. Maybe have some practice. Use this as some practice time, Alex.
I don't need it.
Right, well, I mean, that's debatable. I can only think the door wasn't fully shut. That's the only thing. Anyway, let's carry on.
Anyway, it's just time for our listener story of the week.
I mean, what was that?
I don't know, Rob. It defies all sort of intellectual examination. Right, Rob, who's it from this week?
Okay, so this week it is from Khyber. It is taken from The Independent. Obviously a publication we know well. The story...
I always suspected Khyber would be an independent reader.
I do. Maybe it's just me, but is it over? I don't know. I feel The Independent's gone downhill. I'm going to say, I always like The Independent, but I feel that it's...
Rob, it's been going downhill for many years. My dad used to read The Independent when I was growing up, and it was a proper broadsheet newspaper. It was a very good paper.
That's right.
But do you know what a lot of it's to do with, Rob? I love reading, as you know, Rob. I consume newspaper stuff and political stuff avariciously. Is that the word? Yes.
Yeah.
But
sure.
The Independent, I need a website to be attractive, right? I need that. The Independent isn't. It looks like a bag of shit.
The Independent is I mean, they've obviously, their circulation is clearly declining because the amount of adverts are on their site, and it makes it difficult to actually concentrate on the story.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's horrendous.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, Khyber, you found this story for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Khyber. So the story is from the 23rd of January this year, by James Crump. Great name. And headline: Naked Florida man arrested after stealing marked police car and crashing it.
Right. It's always Florida, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A naked Florida man has been arrested after allegedly stealing a marked police car and crashing it into a wooded area.
Now, was he naked for the same reasons the man earlier was naked? The man hanging out in the car park in wherever it was.
It doesn't say that. There's also no mention of any wet wipes, but I imagine it's for a different reason. So officers from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in Florida told the Associated Press that Joshua Schenker, 22, was arrested on Thursday after police responded to reports of a naked man running around Interstate 10 shortly before noon.
Sorry, Interstate 10
before noon.
That's a major freeway.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So if you imagine one of our huge motorways, because they're motorways over there, they call them highways, as you know, Rob, are huge, running around naked. Was he shouting anything?
Around midday.
No, was he shouting anything? Because I wondered, he could have been telling us something really important, Rob.
Well, if he was, Alex, there's no mention of that. Again, I just want to really state this was around midday.
Fuck.
Yes.
Right.
Around 12 p.m. When officers responded, Mr. Schenker was seen lying naked in the road before he then ran across the highway lanes towards the police, the department claimed on Thursday.
I like that, Rob. The best form of defence is attack. You take them off guard,
exactly.
Just run at them. That's also what you should do if you ever get caught with a bear. Run at it, pretend you're going to attack, it'll back down. Maybe.
And maybe he was brandishing his penis as a weapon. Who can say? So authorities claim that Mr. Schenker stole a vehicle belonging to the city of Jacksonville, while First Coast News footage shows that it was a marked police car. The department did not reveal how the vehicle was stolen.
Wait a second. How the hell did he manage to... This isn't Grand Theft Auto, and even if it was, you would have been shot by that point. If you're running towards police who are out of their cars, maybe guns drawn or whatever, how the fuck did he manage to steal a car? Also, can I just ask, Rob, was this man white? Is there a picture of him?
I believe so, I don't know.
Well, I've got a picture. Yes, he is, right? What I don't like about Thor is you can guarantee almost that had this man been black, he ain't stealing no police car. They've got...
No, true.
He's shot by this point. He manages to get in a car. He's a very young guy, by the way.
Yeah, 22, yeah. It did say the department did not reveal how the vehicle was stolen, which makes me think that maybe I'm buying into stereotypes, but maybe the police had pulled up at like a 7-Eleven, gone inside, left the keys in the ignition, and he just got in.
It's not The Simpsons, Rob.
Alex, if they're not willing to reveal how the car was stolen, it means that it was stolen in an embarrassing way.
In the absence of information, conspiracy theories will breed, Rob.
Exactly, Alex. The police report revealed that around $10,000 worth of damage was done to the vehicle. Mr. Schenker was taken to a local hospital as a precaution on Thursday, and the department noted that he was suffering from road rash after lying naked on the highway.
Sorry, road rash? Is that
road rash? That's what it says. Yeah.
Is that
I don't know if that's a thing.
Road rash, brilliant. Rob, do you remember the game? I know I'm a bit older than you, but one of my favourite games growing up on the Sega Mega Drive was Road Rash. Do you ever remember the game?
Alex, God. I had Road Rash 64 on the Nintendo 64.
And
me and my mate James used to play it incessantly for... incessantly? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
For hours on end, just beating the shit out of each other and trying to knock the opposing player off the bike.
Sorry, the beating the shit out of each other is...
on the game, Alex, not in a homoerotic way.
You did that in between.
Yeah.
Rob, it just shows, Rob, how easily pleased you were back then. I mean, nowadays, you can have anything you want, really. But back then, my God, there was something so liberating about this feeling of just driving around on a motorbike. And what made that game so good was simply the fact that you could punch other people on motorbikes. That was what made it brilliant.
Yeah, but not...
And they had those brilliant sound effects. Ooh. Do you remember?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and also not just obviously not just fellow players, because obviously it had police as well, and you could literally hit the police with a variety of weapons like a tire iron, a baseball bat.
Hang on a minute, no, I got confused, Rob. That's why I thought of it. It wasn't called Road Rage; it was called Road Rash. That was the name of the game.
Oh God, yes, it was. Sorry, yes,
I've got pictures of it now, Rob, because I also used to love Chase HQ. My God, the feeling of outrunning the police. I loved Chase HQ with every bone in my body, Rob. Road Rash. There was Road Rash 3D, Road Rash 3, there was Road Rash 2. But Road Rash is also a type of friction burn or skin abrasion that occurs when you scrape your skin against something rough.
Okay. I didn't know that, Alex, but just to finish off this story... Again, a slightly unfortunate name, but Ellis Burns, the assistant chief at the assistant chief at the sheriff's office, told WJXT that officers suspected that Mr. Schenker was possibly intoxicated or high, as they told him that the 22-year-old appeared to be in a state of excited delirium.
Well, Rob, that's exactly how I feel every time we record, to be honest.
I hope to get to that state one day.
Well, Rob, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Local Anesthetic Podcast. Thank you very much to Kyber for submitting that story. We look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation yet trepidation to our next episode, which will be episode 335, Rob, I believe.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
As we move ever more forward, like Peter Foot, Rob, who is walking away from his job at Shoe Zone to be replaced by Terry Boot. And we wish Peter Foot all the best in his presumed retirement, I imagine. And we wish his brother Michael Foot well. Is Michael Foot dead?
Yes. Very much so, yes. Yeah.
Very much so. It makes it sound like somebody finished him off afterwards.
No, it's just the fact that he's been dead a long time, Alex.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Well, I'm sorry about that, Peter. Yeah, just like that, we move ever more forward to our next episode, which will be episode 3. I've forgotten what episode it is.
335. You literally just said it.
Yeah, I know. I got confused. All right. 335. But Rob, listen. It's now time. Oh no, we can be found on our website, lapodcast.net. We're on Facebook at facebook.com because we kind of have to be, not that we want to be. We're on Twitter at facebook.com/LApodcast. We're on Twitter at LApodcast. You can find all of our episodes on Spotify, wherever you're downloading them from. Hit subscribe, leave us a review. It really does help us. If you want to donate to our podcast, help us keep the show going, it's lapodcast.net, and there's a donate button in the top right hand corner. Spread the word, keep listening. Now, it is time, Rob, for our headlines which never made it. Are you alright?
Sorry, my fucking cat. Bear with me. Look, make your mind up. You want to come in or not?
Did it... we apologise to all the listeners who heard Rob there chastising his cat. Did the cat come in, Rob?
Yeah, the cat's now... Where's he gone? He's around me somewhere.
I think the cat is a figment of Rob's imagination.
I also apologise if anyone heard the cat scratching at the door. But anyway, Alex, let's crack on with these headlines.
How many have you got, Rob?
I got 4.
Same here, so I'll let you go first.
Okay. Donald Trump waxworks removed from after museum visitors kept punching it in the face. It was Louis Tussauds waxworks. I think it was San Antonio. Yeah.
Isn't it called Madame Tussauds?
Yeah, Louis Tussauds is the rip-off version.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Sperm bank in space. Scientists consider building Ark on the moon to store 6.7 million sperm specimens. Now, Rob, I know it's just the headline, but I wanted to ask you: would you be prepared to have your sperm stored in an Ark on the moon?
Alex, if there was some sort of remuneration for that, then of course.
Right. Okay. Over to you.
Man visiting cemetery on Mother's Day staggered by Mr. Fuck You floor tribute.
What? Can you tell me more?
So a man had basically gone to visit his mother's grave on Mother's Day and found that a neighbouring grave had a floor tribute that literally said, Mr. Fuck You.
Mr. Fuck You?
Yeah, Mr. Fuck You. So
what
I'm
does
guessing,
that mean?
Well, I'm guessing that maybe the individual who had sadly deceased had been known as Mr. Fuck You. I don't know.
Maybe, or it was somebody just out of spite visiting a graveyard.
Possibly,
yes.
possibly.
Okay. Anti-abortion protester shoots himself in the leg outside clinic. So
Brilliant.
he was protesting outside of the abortion clinic and actually shot himself in the leg by accident.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it can happen. So, my next one. $1,500 reward offered for the safe return of Ronald McDonald statue.
Now, we were talking about this recently. Hang on, what happened to the Ronald McDonald statue? And why have both of your headlines featured sort of effigies of people?
Well, I mean, it had been stolen, Alex. It was a beloved community statue that found a nice sort of place next to a bench. And the family that must have owned it, because I don't think it was. I believe it was no longer the property of the McDonald's Corporation. Have basically put up a reward for its safe return.
So, Rob, look, do you think, and not the statue, but the real life mascot? Let's just be clear about this. Ronald McDonald is never coming back, is he?
I don't think so.
They removed all of that under the guise of that whole clown thing that was going on, but I think they realised there's something weird about this. There is something creepy and weird about Ronald McDonald and his friends, the Hamburger. They're never coming back, are they?
No. Where are you going with this, Alex?
No, I'm just asking.
No, I don't think they are. I thought you were alluding, or you were going towards something. But I think they're, again, just like road rage, they're a beloved part of some people's childhood, and they just wanted this
road rash.
This mascot to help them through their day.
You know, Rob, though, back to the statue, I do feel that somebody stole that for perverted reasons. My next headline: Man 50 caught committing an indecent act while drenched in corn oil.
Was he in a lay-by?
I will tell you about this. So, there was a patrol car in the United States found a man sitting on a white chair in a dark alley behind a theatre. He was completely naked, and he'd covered himself in corn oil and was sitting in the alleyway in public, masturbating.
If he was sitting behind a theatre, do we know this wasn't some sort of like performance art piece?
No, he said he was out with a few friends for some drinks, but one of them he thinks slipped him a stupid substance in a bid to make him overdose, and that's how this incident occurred.
So did he apply the oil to himself, or did someone else do that?
We don't know. It's a good question.
Right. Okay. Right. My last headline: Ohio man calls police after raccoon ransacks kitchen, then hides in dishwasher.
Well, I like that story. Now, I wish I had. I wanted to feature this as a main story, but there wasn't enough content, Rob. And it's because it was from a local newspaper in the UK, which we've never featured before, called the Hastings Observer.
Oh, okay.
And it's quite an extraordinary story, actually. St Leonard's man told to take down Eiffel Tower in front garden. Pictures. So basically, this man outside his sort of small terraced house has built a mock-up, I would say about a tenth of the size. I mean, I don't know. I might be overestimating.
I've seen the story, yeah. Amy submitted it.
Is it about the tenth of the size? Am I right there, or would it be more like a fifth of the size?
No, I think it'd be a lot smaller than a tenth of the size.
Well, no, if you extrapolate, if you times that by 10, I don't know, you know. But anyway, it's the Eiffel Tower, and he's been told, it's very good, but he's been told to remove it. Justifiably, I think. You can't do that without planning permission.
I disagree. I think if you want to put works of or famous sculptures, or not sculpture, landmarks in your front garden, you should be allowed to do so. That's the problem with this country.
Actually, you're right, Rob. What's happened to this country? What's happened? We said that, didn't we, in an earlier episode? I can't remember what it was. What's happened to the God-given right, Rob, that every Englishman has to have a bare-knuckled fight with a turkey in his barn? Similarly to that, what has happened to the God-given right of us all to put any landmark we wish in our front gardens?
Yeah, I thought we left the EU to make sure that these kind of rights were enshrined in law, but apparently not.
I left the EU, Rob, so I could put a replica of the Eiffel Tower in my front yard.
Exactly, which is kind of ironic that you haven't chosen like it. Although I suppose you can mock it up and say it's the Blackpool Tower.
That was the point of my joke, Rob. That was what I was alluding to, and you just ruined it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex.
Anyway, I'm sure the more intellectual listeners among you will have understood my humour there. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We have really appreciated your company as always. We're going to be back in a week's time with Daft Talk episode
26.
26, and after that will be episode 336 of LA Podcast. Have a good week, everybody. God bless.
And keep it local.